Hi, everybody, and welcome to another Radio Talking Book podcast. I'm Mickey Salzman, an adaptive tech trainer from Outlook, Nebraska. Great to be here with you again. A little bit of a different setting this time. Normally, I'd be sitting in the studio with Ryan, which I would rather be doing, but given these times that we're in right now, most people are working from home. So, and today, I'm excited to do this podcast. I'm going to be talking about another tool that is tech-based, obviously. That's what our show is here. So I'm going to be talking to you today about Zoom, Z-O-O-M, and what Zoom is and how you can use it. There's obviously with the social distancing, families, for example, have to meet separately virtually. I mean, we really not able to get together as much as we'd like, and obviously we're not able to hang out with our coworkers anymore, which right now I miss having to work from home, but it works. And we're going to talk about a really important tool called Zoom that's going to allow us to virtually connect with family and friends, with our coworkers. So basically, that's what we're going to be talking about. And I'm going to start off, let me say, first of all, that this podcast is not meant to be a training podcast. I mean, there's obviously a lot to the program, to Zoom itself, and to the app itself on the phone, which I'll be talking briefly about. But so, having said that, I want to encourage you to, as you listen to this podcast, if you're interested in Zoom and you need to use Zoom, you know where to contact us. I'll give you that contact info, and I'll give it to you again at the end of the podcast. Outlook, Nebraska. Sometimes the easiest way to get a hold of us is by phone, 402-614-3331. And so also I'll give you the website as well. But we're going to be talking today about Zoom. So this is going to be a very general podcast. I'm going to go over what Zoom is. We're going to talk about Zoom on the computer, because I know a lot of people are using Zoom on the computer now. And then also we're going to be talking about Zoom with the app, particularly with the iPhone. And I'm going to go through, there's 4 tabs. I'll go through some of those tabs and sort of what they do. And obviously, how to join a meeting, because I know that majority of that's what you're all going to be doing, but also how to create a meeting and how that works as well. So we're going to get started. What is Zoom? Zoom is a tool that is used by families, it's used by businesses to conduct virtual meetings, and is basically a web conferencing tool that allows folks to meet virtually in a meeting. And really, like I said, because of these times, it's very important. And what it allows you to do, it allows an event creator, it could be, for example, my boss could organize a Zoom meeting, and I could then, along with my coworkers, my fellow associates, we could then join that Zoom meeting. I'm sure probably one of the questions that you're asking is, well, how much does Zoom cost? And actually, to join a meeting, it's free. But even as a person who wants to create a meeting, it's free as well. You can have a basic Zoom meeting free. You can have up to 100 members on your Zoom account. In a particular meeting, they're free. It's free. You can also have a 40-minute group meeting for free as well. So they definitely, because of these situations and the situation that we're in, they've made some changes to the Zoom accounts. So I want to talk a little bit about, since I think most of you are going to be dealing with this aspect of Zoom, and that is joining a meeting and how it works. As I said, I'm going to cover the computer, using the computer first, and then we'll talk about the smartphone. Before I go any further, let me also point out that they do have a pro plan, which is $14.99 a month, I believe. And they have, what that allows you to do is that allows you to record on what we call on the cloud, which means that you can record up to 1 gigabyte and you can basically share it with others. So you have a meeting and you're able to send a link to others that can come in and then join your meeting later. And it really makes it a nice feature to be able to record your meeting, especially if it's a business meeting, or maybe that special meeting with a family member or something that you want to save. So that That's very nice as well. The free version does allow you to record, but I believe it's on your hard drive. So if you want to be able to make it really simple for folks to access your meeting, you have to go with one of their pro plans. One of them is the $14.99 a month. Now, for most of you who are going to be joining a meeting, this is one of the all important questions that people ask is, well, how do I join a meeting? So, for the most part, one of the nice things about Zoom is the person who creates the meeting, might be your boss, might be one of your family members, whoever has the Zoom account, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But what you do is you will get an email, and inside that email will be a Zoom link. There'll be a link for a Zoom meeting. Kind of a long link, but if you just click on that link, you're taken into Zoom. There might be some questions they ask, giving Zoom access to your microphone and camera. And I want to point that out, especially since we're talking about the computer, that you will need Zoom to allow access to your microphone and your camera, since this is a virtual meeting. So that way that with the camera, folks can see you on the screen with your video, and with the microphone, they can hear you, and vice versa. You want to be able to hear the other members who are in the meeting, and so you give Zoom access to that. And then in some cases, depending on how the organizer has it set up, you might have to enter a user ID and a password, which again, that should be given to you in the email or in the instructions of the person setting up the meeting. Now, I want to share with you a few keystrokes. I don't want to get into all the keystrokes for the computer, but I do want to talk a little bit about some of them because they are pretty important. And obviously, when we're talking about this particular podcast, it's centered around adaptive technology. And so we want to make sure that when I'm talking to you about a particular technology, in this case Zoom, a particular tool, we want to make sure that it's accessible and it works well with your screen readers. Zoom's been tested with JAWS, NVDA. Of course, if you're a Magic user, low vision user, you can use Zoom as well, and you can use these keystrokes too. So, for example, let's say you've been brought into a Zoom meeting, and I don't know, maybe your dog is barking in the background or something, and you want to mute your audio. Because when you join the meeting, in a lot of cases, your microphone is unmuted. People are able to hear you, what you say, or what goes on around you. And it's very interesting just listening to, as I've listened to some of the Zoom meetings I've been in, people obviously working from home, setting up in their kitchens, in their living rooms, and you have very interesting noises in the background sometimes. But there is a way to mute your microphone, and that's Alt-A. You might want to mute your video. So let's say that you get any Zoom meeting and you find that your video is on. You might want to mute that video with an Alt-V. Zoom is also very popular in school settings, right now. So let's say you want to raise your hand. You might press Alt-Y. You press Alt-Y to raise your hand if you have a question. You want to find out who is in the meeting. You press Alt-U to show a list of participants. And so those are just some of the keystrokes that we're going to be using on the computer. Again, I'm not going to get into all of them because of the time consumption of this podcast, of the limitation of this podcast. So, but Zoom can also be used on the phone. And let's say that you want to, you have an iPhone and you want to be able to use Zoom. You download the free app, the app off the App Store for the iPhone. You download the free app, you install it. And again, like a lot of apps, there's going to be basic prompting, like Zoom would like to have access to your camera, to your microphone, which you want to allow in order to use the app. So once you're in the app and you've set up Zoom on the phone, what I like to do when I first teach a client a new app, I a lot of times like to show them the various tabs on the bottom of the screen. In the Zoom app, you're going to have 4 different tabs on the bottom of the screen. The Meet and Chat tab is the first tab. This tab has like a new meeting, You can schedule a meeting. You have the share screen under this tab. And you also have the find people. So just various options under this tab. The second tab is the meeting tab. Now this, when you're signed in, and I'll talk about that in a minute. When you're signed in, you're going to have your personal meeting ID that you'll see here. You can send an invitation. And then the third tab is the contacts tab. And this allows you can connect your phone contacts. Let's say you got an iPhone and you have some contacts in your phone that you want to send them an invite and send them an invitation. You can do that in the contacts tab. And then of course we have the settings tab. There's various settings for Zoom. Again, I won't get into these at this time, but there's all kinds of different settings for setting up for using Zoom, and you can also use like Siri shortcuts as well. So that's really the phone part of Zoom. And one of the things I want to talk to you about, screen share, sharing your screen. Both using the computer and using your phone, both allow you to share your screen. On the computer, you can share your screen so that your participants can actually see what's on your screen. And you can also share computer sound. So as a totally blind person, I can actually have one of my clients can do a screen share, and I can actually hear what their JAWS is saying. I can also share my screen on the phone as well, do screen share. So that makes another feature of Zoom that's very popular. There's also chat, so I can chat back and forth with participants. The host can also put me in what we call breakout rooms. So that if I'm a school teacher and I'm conducting a Zoom meeting with my students, I can actually assign them to what we call breakout rooms so that they can work on their own. If they got questions, they can ask for help. So there's just so many features of Zoom, and just sort of give you a taste of really what Zoom does. Now, let's say you want to schedule a meeting. You want to schedule a meeting for some family members or some of your associates or maybe your friends or whatever. You can actually create a Zoom meeting. Now, to do this, you have to create an account with Zoom. And to do that, you have to go to the Zoom website. It's zoom.us, zoom.us. That's the website. And there you can create your account. As I mentioned before, it's free. There is the basic Zoom account is free. You can pay for extra features, which I talked a little bit about, but the basic meeting is free. After you log in, you'll have a My Account option. You'll be able to click on that, and then you'll be able to go into and actually schedule a meeting. And it's kind of one of those follow the yellow brick road. You'll put in the title of your meeting. I also want to mention, too, that you can actually connect the Zoom to your Outlook calendar. So let's say you have several of your associates or who have Outlook, and you're able to actually send them the Zoom meetings through Outlook, and so it automatically schedules it on the calendar. You set, obviously the date and time and all that, and you're able to set the meeting up, and it really is a great feature. And what we're able to do with Zoom, and so hopefully that gives you kind of an overview about Zoom, what it does and how it works. And like I said, it certainly has become a very popular item most recently because of our situation. And I think in some ways it'll be the wave of the future, because with this virtual meetings and being able to work from home and still complete the same tasks. I know when I was when I went to college, or actually just last year, or actually this year, I went to Promote. I attended Promote through the East Texas Lighthouse, and we conducted almost all of the schoolwork that was done through Zoom, and really almost felt like I was sitting in the classroom with my instructor and my fellow students, because it really is wonderful audio, really good video, and like I said, because of the accessibility, it's a very simple interface. So that kind of concludes my description of Zoom. So again, I just want to stress, if you're really interested in Zoom, we are able to provide training on Zoom as an Adaptive Tech trainer. I can teach you more in depth into Zoom, you can get in contact with us. Outlook Nebraska, our phone number is 402-614-3331. You can also check us out on the web at outlooknebraska.org. So that concludes my podcast. Again, I'm Mickey Salzman, the Adaptive Tech Trader for Outlook Nebraska. So I will turn it back over to Ryan. So thank you all so much for listening, and you stay safe and stay healthy.